Today I'm going to read to you Winnie in Winter, which feels very strange reading on one of the hottest days of the years. But here goes. Winnie in Winter by Valerie Thomas, published by the Oxford University Press. Winnie the Witch looked out at her window and shivered. Her garden was covered in snow, her pond was covered in ice. Icicles hung from the rooftops. "I'm tired of winter," said Winnie. Wilbert came through the cat flap. His feet were wet and his whiskers were frozen. Wilbert was tired of winter too. Suddenly, Winnie had an idea. She stopped what she was doing, took down her big spell book and read it carefully. Then she put on her woolly coat, her fluffy hat, her snow boots, her gloves and her scarf. She picked up her wand and went outside. Wilbert already had his fur coat on, so he went outside too. He thought something exciting might happen and he wanted to watch. Winnie shut her eyes, then stood up on her tiptoes, counted to 10 and waved her magic wand 5 times and shouted, "Abracadabra!" And something magical happened. Above Winnie's house the sun shone brightly. The sky was deep blue. All the snow had disappeared. It was no longer winter at Winnie's house. It was sunny summer. Winnie took off her woolly hat, her woolly coat, her snow boots, her gloves and her scarf. She got her deck chair and went out into the garden to sit in the sun. "This is lovely," said Winnie. "Summer is much nicer." Wilbert lay down in the sun and purred. "This is lovely," he thought. "Summer is much nicer than winter." All over the garden little animals were waking up. They had been in their winter sleep and they were very cross. They came out of the garden yawning sleepily. "It's too early for summer," they grumbled. "We want to go back to sleep." The flowers had been asleep under the snow. They woke up and began to grow. Up came the leaves and then the flowers. But the sun was too hot for them. Their heads began to droop. All the lovely flowers were dying. Winnie was worried. The animals and the flowers didn't like her lovely summer. Then she heard a very strange noise. Winnie turned around and there behind her was a great crowd of people. They were running along the road towards her house. They crowded into her garden. They took off their coats, their hats, their boots, their gloves and their scarves. They sat in the sunshine. They walked on Winnie's flowers. They put orange peel on Winnie's grass. They padded into Winnie's pond. Soon there was no room for Winnie and Wilbert in the garden. They went inside and looked out of the window. The noise was horrible. The mess was horrible. Winnie's lovely summer was horrible. Then Winnie heard another strange noise. A tickling noise. Someone was selling ice cream in her garden. Winnie was furious. She grabbed her wand. She rushed outside. She stamped her foot, shut her eyes, counted to 10, waved her wand 5 times and shouted, "Abracadabra!" The sun disappeared, the blue skies disappeared, and the snow began to fall. The people put on their coats and their hats and their boots, their gloves and their scarves and rushed home. The animals went back to bed to finish their winter sleep. The flowers went back under the ground to wait for spring. Winnie and Wilbert went back inside. Winnie made a cup of hot chocolate and roasted a muffin. Wilbert had a saucer of warm milk. Then Winnie snuggled into bed. Wilbert curled up at her foot of the bed and purred. "This is warm and cosy," said Winnie. "Winter is lovely too." The end.